Okay, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, this is all working. I believe there's a couple of people online, which is great. If somebody could put something up in the chat window and let me know that the audio is good, that would be fantastic. Because I'm actually using a new microphone this evening, and it would be nice, even though I can see the bars moving here, it would be nice to know everything is fine. And hopefully my chat is responding as well. The last time I did one of these audio streams, for some reason, I managed my chat disabled itself, which was kind of interesting. Anyway, my name is Gary Hawkins. Hopefully you're seeing an image up on the screen with respect to tonight's presentation, which is basically we're going to look at some of the features in SharpCap. A number of people have asked me recently if it would be possible to go through the sort of startup procedure on my telescope and getting it ready to prepare for an imaging session. I am a tiny bit concerned at the moment that my video stream may be just not as stable as I would normally like it. So I'm just going to bring the, actually I'm already set up for 2.5. So let's just hope that everything is okay. In fact, if you're kind of wondering why I'm hesitating this evening, it's been kind of an interesting evening. When I first kicked everything off about an hour ago, my mount would not fire up. Okay, so Dave, I see in the chat window, which is tremendous. Dave, well, I heard you invite chat response. Okay, so Dave, since you're there and you're the first person to come up on chat, can you let me know what my audio is like? Because I'm using a different headset this evening. And I was just explaining, it's been an interesting evening. My mount would not start up. I had to reload a couple of different software packages. And invariably, I'd managed to delete a couple of DLLs while I was doing some work earlier in the week, and nothing was going to work. Anyway, like I said, my name's Gary Hawkins. We're going to look at SharpCap today, and we're basically going to go through the startup process to get to an imaging session. And my mount, which I can actually just quickly show you, which is right there, is, and I can put a little bit more light on that, hopefully. Here we go. Oh, I need to transition. There we go. So you can see that now. So this is my, oh, I don't believe that. My video camera stopped. Hold on 1 second. As I said, it was going to be an interesting evening, and my webcam appears to have gone to sleep. So I'm going to just reset this a minute and hopefully wake it up, because my webcam does have a habit of going to sleep. So let me just bring up a different webcam. Hi guys. As I'm struggling here in the back garden, and let me just try and sort this webcam out 1 second, and just get my telescope webcam working so that you guys can actually see the scope. It's clearly going to be one of those days, but hopefully we'll be okay. All right, let's see if that's working now. Oh yeah. Perfect. Right. So let me try that again. So here is my telescope this evening, and well, I'll tell you where we're located in a couple of minutes. Everything's off. Everything is set up. The hardware is all set up. The mount's been leveled using a spirit level, and my OTA is up there, and you can see the red camera is just sitting behind on the guide scope and the main scope. But basically, all the hardware is set up and nothing's switched on yet. Right, so going back to the introduction slides. Right, first of all, where am I? So as I said, my name's Gary Hawkins. I'm a member of the San Diego Astronomy Association. I am also a member of the AAVSO, which is the American Association of Variable Star Observers. And I do quite a number of live streams, both sort of under my own YouTube channel and also that of the SDAA. And Dave, I still not heard whether this audio is good. So if you've got a moment and you can just hit me on the chat window again, that would be fantastic. So I'm actually located in San Diego, California. I'm about 15 miles north of the city of San Diego, in a suburban district called Scripps Ranch, near the city of Poway. We are under Bortle 8 skies, so heavily light polluted skies. But it's surprising what you can actually achieve with the gear that I'm using, which actually is nothing special in terms of gear. It's just the way that it's being used and the software packages that it's being used with. Right. This is the equipment. It's based around a Celestron 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain telescope, which is close to being 22 years old. And it's a great telescope. Oh, good. Thanks, Anna. I appreciate that on the sounds good. So that makes me feel happy. In addition to that, or in the optical chain, I've got a 0.6 focal reducer, so that brings the scope down from f10 to f6.3. Behind that is a 9 megapixel ZWO ASI 533 MC camera, which is a 9 megapixel color camera. There is no filter in the optical chain tonight because I'm actually planning to do some photometry once the imaging session is set up, and that particular filter would it would kind of screw things up a little bit. I've also got a tail rad on the scope. Absolutely love the tail rad. It's a incredibly useful piece of kit. Once you've got those set up correctly, definitely the best finder scope I've got. And then on the opposite side of the scope is a homemade 50mm guide scope. This consists of a finder scope that's been modified, and it's got a ZWO ASI 244 MC that sits behind it. As the imaging camera, it's basically a 1.2 megapixel imaging camera, and that's all sitting on a equatorial EQ6R mount, which is made by Skywatcher. And again, there it is. And this time, hopefully, when I shine a light in the general direction, yep, there we go. You can see the mount, you can see the camera, that's the main camera, that's the guide camera. The guide scope is just up at the top where my light's pointing. And here is the Schmidt Cassegrain, and that's actually got a dew filter on it as well. Right. So all the hardware and software I'm using this evening is actually detailed on this slide. I'm not going to go through this slide, it's just there for your reference. But we are going to be using SharpCap Pro this evening, cart to seal. We of course are going to be using ASCOM and EQ mod because that's what controls the Skywatcher mount. And when we actually get into the imaging session, I may actually just do a quick demonstration of some photometry processing, in which case I will use a couple of different packages, and one of them is listed on that software list, which is a package called ASTPA. And the reason it's on this list is because it's also the plate solver that we will be using this evening for fine positioning of the scope. I've got a field of view with the current setup of about 27 arc minutes square. I will actually be putting my filter wheel back in the optical chain shortly, and that has the effect of actually increasing the field of view to about 30 arc minutes square, which is nice because then I can do a full frame of the moon and the sun. At the moment, unfortunately, I need to overlay several images to get a full picture. Right, the main program we're going to be using is SharpCap Pro. This is the sort of de facto standard for EAA. Basically, it does the image capture. It then combines the incoming images with what's known as a flat and a dark, and actually it's a dark with bias. So these are calibration images that remove artifacts from the that may be in the optical chain, like dust bunnies and stuff like that. Correct for any vignetting that's taking place in the optical chain, and etc. etc. SharpCap then goes on to stack the images, and then as you'll see as we kind of get into this a little bit later on, you're then able to do some histogramming and stuff, which allows you to extract a lot more information than you're seeing on the screen, and that's image then is displayed basically in semi-real time, either on the computer screen or, as you'll see this evening, obviously as we're broadcasting, it goes straight out to you guys live. So it's an electronic way of doing visual observing, if you like, unlike astrophotography, where all the images are collected and then post-processed. And we're going to be looking at some of the key features in SharpCap Pro this evening, just by way of features that I use. SharpCap Pro is available for about $15 a year, depending upon what the exchange rate is with the UK. It's about £10 UK pounds per year. It's well worth the extra money as opposed to using the free version, because it gives you access to a number of additional tools, which include things like polar alignment, flat flame correction. It's got some auto-focusing features if you had an autofocuser. It's got a smart histogram feature that people rave about, and funnily enough, I'm not actually using it. I need to probably look into that feature and see if it would actually help me with my EAA presentations. It's got what's called a feature tracking system, which is kind of it's a much scaled down version of an actual auto guiding system, but it's got its uses, and it's got a couple of other nice features as well. One of them is a seeing estimator, and we will see how that works this evening. And again, sorry for the hesitation there, but I can just see I'm actually on a different Wi-Fi network as well this evening, and I can just see that my throughput is just dropping down a little bit. So hopefully everything is holding up for you guys. Right, and like I said, I may just bring up one image at the beginning of the imaging sequence, just to show you that everything's set up and the EAA side of it's working. But actually what I do plan to do this evening is I'm just going to do some photometry measurements after this broadcast is finished. And if you're not familiar with photometry, basically it's the measurement of light coming from a given star. And you might ask, why do we do that? And that's a great question if you've not really looked into this in much detail, because if you just look up into the night sky at the heavens, for all intents and purposes, the stars actually don't seem to change much. I mean, they twinkle a little bit, but generally speaking, they don't change much. Well, some of them do, and actually quite a large number of them do. And that's because many of them, although they look like single stars, are not actually single stars. They're actually two stars in very close proximity to each other. One example of this, for instance, would be an eclipsing binary, which is two stars that rotate around each other. And as they rotate around each other, it produces a light curve, or the resulting light curve, or the resulting light that comes away from the two stars varies with time. And it's kind of illustrated in the diagrams here on the left hand side, when one of the stars eclipses the other, it causes a dip in the light output, and the dip depends on whether the smaller star is eclipsing the bigger star or the bigger star is eclipsing the smaller star. And we can gain a huge amount of information about the star system based on the light curve that we see. And on the right hand side of that slide, you will see a light curve that I've recently captured of one of my favorite stars at the moment, which is a 11th magnitude eclipsing binary called V474 CAM. So it's in the constellation of the Giraffe. This is basically a circumpolar star, and it's a eclipsing binary where the two stars are obviously rotating around each other and causing that light curve variation that I just described. And you can see it quite clearly. It's the light variation that we see through the telescope is about half a magnitude, so it's not very much, but as you can see from the graph that I've got plotted there, it's very, very discernible with my equipment. And again, this is just a C8 SCT with a focal reducer and a cooled 9 megapixel camera. It's all really standard gear. And just to show you that that wasn't luck, there are 3 comparison stars. So there are light curves from 3 comparison stars there in the general vicinity of V474 CAM. And as you can see, those light curves are essentially flat. And in fact, if you really want to get into the processing, you can use the comp stars to actually refine the light curve of the target star. But anyway, more of that possibly later. So I think, yeah, that's the end of my sort of formal presentation. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go through my startup sequence and show you how I get the OTA up and running, what steps I go through, and why I use certain things. So again, here's our OTA. It's just turned off at the moment. Like I said, all the hardware is there, it's all physically connected, but everything is off. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up SharpCap, and let me do that. So I'm just going to need to grab SharpCap here off my desktop, and I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to bring up everything in a minute. So I'm going to move SharpCap into the window that you guys can see, or you will be able to see in a minute when I transition to it. So I am now going to do that transition. Okay, so I believe you now should be able to show SharpCap, and I've got the YouTube video playing on my phone. So let me turn that off because I can actually hear myself in the background and appreciate the fact we've now got 12 people watching. So I'm very pleased that for everybody that's joined. So you can actually see SharpCap. And before I start, let me just quickly go up to the top bar here and just go through a few things just to see if there's anything there that I want to show you before we actually get going. Okay, so the first thing is in the SharpCap settings. If we go into hardware, you will see here that I have my mount connected to SharpCap. And that's going to be important because that allows me to control the mount from SharpCap. It also allows SharpCap to call the plate solving software, which is ASTAP, and for that information to then be sent to the mount, for the mount to then report its new position, and for everybody to know that we're pointing at the right thing. And in fact, if I go into the plate solving tab, you can see that I've got ASTAP selected, and I've also got this checked, which basically, sorry, not that one, this set, which basically says sync the mount and recenter the target once you've worked out what the error is. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything else I probably need to show you here. No, I think all of these are just standard. I am talking to, I can run guiding, and you will see that a guiding package will come up. So I am connected to PHD2, which is the guiding package I use. It's very unusual for somebody to be guiding when they're doing EAA, but I find it works really well, and I don't see any downside of not doing it. So I tend to do it all the time now. So that's on the settings side of it. So I think we can do that. And now normally what would happen is you would then start playing around with the camera settings and so forth and so on, and everything would start up slowly. Um, but I don't do that in the SharpCap Pro beta version, which is now out for testing, and I'm one of the testers of this. Anybody can do the testing, by the way. It's not like we're a closed group. You can go to the SharpCap Pro download page and download the 3.3 beta version if you want to test it. But in that, there are some new features, and one of those is the sequencer. And the sequencer is basically a way that we can run sequences of commands that, in a set order, that guide us through, in my case, setup, close down, and imaging. So I'm actually going to use the sequencer to do everything this evening, because by doing that, you do everything exactly the same way each time. You don't forget things because you're going through a sequence of commands. Whereas if you do it from your head, often it's easy to actually forget something. So let me start the sequencer. And I think what I'll do first is I will run the sequence, and then I will go back into the editor just to point out anything that wasn't obvious when the sequence was run. So I'm going to run the first sequence, and my first sequence, imaginably enough, is called EAA Startup. So I'm going to click on this, and I am now going to get a set of commands come up on the screen that I've programmed, and they're going to walk me through the startup. So the first thing it does is ask me if the hardware is connected, and I know it is, so I can press OK. The next thing it does is it asks me if the counterbalance weights are in place. And one of the reasons it does this is because twice I have managed to mount my OTA on my EQ6R mount and release the RA clutch, only to then look in horror as the whole thing starts to rotate around the RA axis because the counterbalance weights are not there. Because the way that the EQ6R is actually manufactured, the counterbalance weight arm actually tucks away inside of the mount, and so you kind of forget it's there, and so it's very easy to set it up and not put the counterbalance weights in place. And in fact, I'm not sure, I don't think you heard it, but it also gives me an audio alarm on the PC at that point to give me a further prompt to make sure that I don't just press OK. So my counterbalance weights are in place, which is good. So I can go to the next stage. And I will say that I've set my mount up so that everything is neutrally balanced, both in the RA and the deck axes. So that's just, and if you're not familiar with that, and at the moment I must admit I've got my chat window turned off. So let me just open my chat window up in case anybody's, right, there we go. Nobody's asked a question. If you're not familiar with what that means in terms of making sure that the RA and deck axes are balanced, just say so in the chat window, and I'll briefly go over that. Okay, so my counterbalance weights are in place. My Wi-Fi is connected because obviously I'm streaming, but sometimes it may not be. My PC time is correct, and that's an important thing. It's very easy to sometimes, particularly if you've been moving around and the PC hasn't reset its time correctly, you might have the wrong time, which is bad news because obviously the position of a target star or constellation or DSO is determined by the time, and if the time's not correct, you've got an issue. And I will say, I also run a program on this PC called Dimension 4, and it synchronizes the PC clock to, well, I guess they're NTS something standards. So the clock is accurate to milliseconds as long as Dimension 4 is running. So I know my PC time's correct. I'm now going to switch my mount on, and one of the reasons I'm using a different headset today is because it's a wireless Bluetooth connected headset so that I can actually move around. So I'm now going to move over to my mount, and hopefully you'll see me switch it on. Okay. Well, I'm guessing you did see me switch it on because I can see the red light on the mount. So my mount is now on. Go back into my sequencer. And the next thing it asked me is, basically it asked me to go into the device manager on the PC and check to see what COM port the mount is on. And that is because you've got to match the COM port with EQ mod. It is on COM port 16. I know that EQ mod is looking at COM port 16 at the moment, so I can press OK to this. But again, it's a good check to do, because otherwise when we try and start a PQ mod in a couple of seconds, if the COM port's not correct, it will fail. Okay, so I know both those are correct. Now, the sequencer will automatically initiate the start of the cart to seal program. And that came up on, I'm running two screens, so that came up on my other screen. So I'm now going to just shift cart to seal onto the screen so that you can see it. This is my chosen sky map for the time being. Although I must admit, having seen a demonstration of Sky Safari running through a Android emulator the other day on Windows, I'm beginning to wonder whether I might actually change out and go to Sky Safari running on a similar process, because it was slick. Anyway, for the time being, I'm using cart to seal, and if I look at my instructions here, it says connect to cart to seal and unpark the mount and initiate tracking. So if I go back to cart to seal, and because I'm running between two screens here, it sometimes gets a little bit complicated. I have to keep swinging the cursor off in this direction. So now I've got to connect the telescope, which I do up here. And at the moment you can see I'm not connected. So when I connect, it will go green, and on the other screen, my EQ, in fact, let me just move if I can. There we go. Just move that across. So that's now called EQ mod, which basically is connected to the telescope. So this is my telescope control software. My mount is currently parked, so I need to unpark it, which sends this green. I now need to initiate tracking, which sends this green, and now everything is basically running on the mount correctly. I've got SharpCap connected to the mount. I've got CDC connected to the mount. And we're looking good, so I can close these down, minimize these for the time being. I can press OK. Now it's actually then going to say, please check your observatory and lat long settings in CDC. And I'm glad it reminded me to do that, because the last time I used this scope, I was actually in Nevada. So I need to go into my setup, observatory, and again, it's popped up on the other screen because it's not used to the two screens. So I'm set for Pahrump in Nevada, so I need to change this now to San Diego. I'll apply that. Okay, and you may have seen actually, but by doing that, you probably saw that the sky map just changed a little bit there, as it takes account for the fact that we're in a different location. So that is, so I've got that part set up, so I can minimize this again. So I've done that, I can press OK. Now, sometimes I do Comet imaging. If I do that, I need to update databases, and I'm not going to do that this evening because obviously I'm not planning to image a comet or an asteroid or a satellite, so I'm just going to press OK, go on to the next thing. And the thing it's going to do now is it's going to start PhD2, which is my guiding software. And again, of course, that started up on screen 1, so I'm just going to bring that across to screen 2. So here's PhD2, which is the guiding software. And I'm going to go down, I'm going to connect my guide camera and click connect. And I'm then going to start looping the exposures, and there's the output from my guide camera. You can see a number of stars here, and I will guide off of those stars. And I'm wondering if somebody chatted there. Let me have a look. I'll get back to that in a minute. So I'll catch up. Nope, nobody's chatting, so we're good. We're kind of good. I mean, guys, if you guys want to engage here, please do. I love to actually see people chat on the chat window. It's it shows me that you're not all falling asleep. Anyway, PhD2 is now started up correctly, so I can minimize that. And I press OK. And now it's going to go and start the camera up. And the camera is now started up. So my 533 has now started up. And if you look on this side of the screen, you'll see that I've selected a camera profile, which in this case is called 533 MCDSO. It's set my color space. The one thing it hasn't done here that it should have done is it should have set this output format to fits images, and it's not done that. It doesn't really matter too much. I'll get to that in a minute. It's set my exposure and my gain, and if I come down here, I've got my mount controls, I've got my plate solve button here. Oh, and Anna said she's engaged. Fantastic, Anna. And you can see that my dark frames and my flat frames are already selected. And this is all done through loading the profile. And the one thing I do see at the moment is that my mount's not tracking. So that's because of the lines here. So I'm just going to kick my mount a second. There we go. It's tracking now. And just wake it up and tell it to track. So the next time we see an image come through, we'll see these star trails disappear, and it should be something close to circular stars. Didn't get that right. Let's see if it does it the next time around. Okay, so so that SharpCap sequence is now actually finished. Let me just make a few manual changes here. I'm just going to drop my thing down to 10 seconds so that this actually images a little faster. Yeah, these stars seem circular now, so that's not too bad. And let me just bring the editor up on this sequence now so that you can actually see it. So I've got to go and find that. Right, and of course that's appeared on the other screen as well. Right, so here is my sequence editor for this particular sequence. So you can see the commands that we saw initially is the hardware connected, play the alert sound, are the counterweights balance in place, blah de blah. So most of them are text messages that just come up and they wait for me to hit a key once I've actually done the appropriate thing I've been told to do. But there are also some automated things here. Here is one of the commands that actually runs the sky map, CDC. Here is another command that runs PhD2 guiding. So the sequencer is, and these are all the sequences you can choose. You can basically choose any one of these building blocks and insert it in the sequence, and it will then do the command. But I'm not going to mess around with pulling these across at the moment. But like, for instance, if I want to play a sound at a certain point, I can pull that sequence in there. but I won't do that. And then finally, when we get to the back end of this, you can see here it's opening the camera, loading the camera profile, and then I'm not sure if you saw, but it put up a notification for 30 seconds at the top of the screen in this area up here, just to say you're ready, you can now start moving on to the next things you need to do, which is basically focusing and polar alignment. So, how did you get the scope control on SharpCap? So yes, so the scope control on SharpCap, if you have set up your settings correctly here under hardware, and you've selected your mount hardware and everything is there to support that, so the ASCOM drivers, EQ mod in this case, because I'm using a Skywatcher mount, it will automatically then engage with the mount, and as soon as it does that, the scope controls come up at the bottom of SharpCap. If the mount is not connected correctly, that will not happen. And you'll also get an error message to say the mount hasn't connected correctly. But yes, that will not happen. And interestingly enough, at the moment, even though I'm using 10-second images currently, and my tracking is working, you can see that I am so poorly polar aligned currently that I'm getting these really nasty stars shapes. Albeit that I am going to go and check again just to see. Yeah, yeah, we have got tracking set. So yeah, I am so poorly polar aligned at the moment, and the reason for this is because my scope was set up for Nevada, and so the pole star is 6 degrees, 4 degrees higher. So I clearly need to do a polar alignment here. Right, and having said that, let's start the polar alignment process. So what I need to do that is I need to go into my sequencer. I need to pick my next sequence, which is, oh, actually, got that wrong. I actually do these things manually. And one of the reasons you have to do these next couple of steps manually is because the way the sequencer is currently written is that the developer, Robin Glover, has actually locked out, when the sequencer is running, the UI on SharpCap is locked. And there are things that you need to change in the UI when you're doing a polar alignment that you can't do if the UI is locked. So consequently, you can't run it through the sequencer. So the next couple of things I need to do manually. So I'm going to go into Tools, and I'm going to do a polar alignment. Yep. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Okay, so you should see the polar alignment dialog box up. Let me just pin this. Yeah, because I need that pinned. All right, because this is where my instructions are, and this is my my visual of my polar alignment. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to turn this screen around, because I am going to need to be looking at it while I'm making the mechanical adjustments on the scope, and I am going to, I should have didn't quite set that. Let me just do something quickly here. I think I'm just for giggles here. Let me just do something here and see if I can give you a little bit better of a visual graphic. So if I go here and then so I'm just playing around in my broadcast software, and I'm just going to add a video capture device, which is the webcam. Has that thing gone to sleep again? Rats. All right, let's just go with that. All right, let me just see if the webcam, well, that webcam's working, so that's good, but that's the one on the PC. Is this webcam working? Let's have a look. Yeah, so that webcam's still working. I wonder why it didn't, um, capture. Let me just add an existing. Just 1 second. I'm almost there. I'm confusing myself now, which of course is not great. So I've got the display capture going. Let me delete it. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to give this one chance to get right, and if I can get it right, good, and if I can, I'll just carry on, because I'm sure you don't want to watch me struggle trying to get OBS set up. So let's bring that to there. Let's bring that. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Right, perfect. All right, so if I now transition this, there we go. Now you should be able to see both the SharpCap setup and also the mount. So hopefully you'll be able to see me working here as I do the polar alignment. So let me put my headlight on. Might need that. And let me, actually, I'm going to need to. Sorry about the noise, guys. It's the trouble when you're wearing a headset that is on your, and moving around and trying to do things at the same time. You get a lot of background noise. So I have moved away from my camera now, and hopefully you should be seeing me at the telescope, and I can now see SharpCap. So I've got to get my mouse, because I'm going to need that, because I need to be able to control what's going on. And hold on 1 second. Right. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Right, so, okay. So I am pointing basically towards the pole star. And I know I'm at the wrong angle because, as I said, I was using this in Nevada. So I am now going to follow the instructions. And it basically says, press the next button before rotating the R axis. So I press next. It's then going to grab an image. I can actually make this go a little bit faster. So let me bring the exposure down to about 2 seconds. Let me bring the gain up to about 500. And it doesn't seem to have, let's just restart this process. So restart. Okay. So it's grabbed my first image, and currently it hasn't solved. So I need to do a couple of things here. Increase the gain a little bit more. Probably increase that to, say, 4 seconds. Right, now it's solved. Okay, so just make sure that we're solving here. Okay, so I think it's not convinced it's solved yet. Let's try again. Just restart it. Okay. What is going on here today? Hold on. I'm not sure why this is not working. This normally just fires up immediately. I just do a couple of quick checks here. Okay, so it's solved there. All right, so we're solved, so that's good. So now press the next button before rotating the R axis. So press next. I'm then going to go over to the scope. It's going to release the RA clutch here. And I'm going to rotate the scope approximately 90 degrees here and lock the clutch. And now I am going to wait for it to hopefully solve again. Yes, and you can see that my polar alignment is absolutely horrible. I am 6 degrees off. So I need to go press next. And now this is the process of polar alignment beginning. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get my down sorted out here because I am way off. So I'm going to go over to my scope. I'm going to release the front screw on the azimuth, and I'm now going to start cranking this baby down. That was up, so let's try down. Let's see where that gets me. Okay, we're now down to 4 degrees. Right, so I'm going to crank this down some more. Okay. I just got to wait for it to solve. And I'm still in a pretty bad shape here, so let me crank this down some more. And it felt like it didn't move that time for some reason. Let's try. Okay, so I've cranked it down some more on the azimuth bolt. What's going on here? Okay. Well, I can tell you that my mount is moving. What I'm surprised about is that SharpCap is not... Alright, okay, let's see where this goes. Alright, let's see. Come on, solve. This is unusual. Okay, so it's solved. Okay, so we're getting close now. Okay, so we're now a degree off. So that's good news. So I just need to move this a bit more down. So I'm going to start doing this in smaller increments. Okay, let's see where that goes. Let's wait for it to solve again. Okay, so I'm now 29 arc minutes off in azimuth, so I'm going to give it a little bit more. Let me see where that goes. Come on, solve. And it's not solving currently. I've got to wait for it to solve again. Let me give it a little bit of a boost here. See if I can get it to solve. You know, one of the problems I've got here is I might have too much. I've got all my lights on outside so that you can see the scope. And I may be picking up a bit too much. Let me see if I can actually decrease and go in the opposite direction. See if I can get it to solve with that. Okay. Check your star detection status. Okay. All right. Just bear with me a second. Let me try again. This generally goes a lot smoother than we're doing today. And I may have to turn the outside lights off here. That may be part of the problem here. All right, I think I'm going to go and turn the outside lights off and see if I can get this to work a little better. And hopefully I'll do this and I'll still stay connected to the thing. Right. All right. How did you get the scope to... Okay, so we're still connected to everything, so that's good. As you can see now, my mount has gone very... because I've lost all the light. Hopefully you'll be able to at least see a little bit over there. And I'm going to restart this process again and see if I can get this thing to play a little better. So I'm going to restart. Okay. And I can tell part of the problem here is I'm picking up a lot of what looks to be erroneous stars. And that is causing, let me bring this minimum pixel width down. Let's just restart this process. Come on. And see if we can get this going. Wow. And of course, this is one other problem of using beta software as well, is the fact that, you know, sometimes things get screwed up just because it's still under development. So let's see if this will play. I mean, interestingly enough, it's got plenty of stars, and it should be solving, but for whatever reason, it's not at the moment. Okay, so let's just try again. All right, so we've now brought the scope back up to the vertical position. I'm going to bring that gain up. Okay, so it managed to solve that one, so that's good. So we'll bring that to next, and we'll now rotate. And I think what I'll do this time is I'll rotate the RA axis in the opposite direction, because believe it or not, I'm actually shooting through some trees here in my back garden, and sometimes the trees actually get in the way. And you can see, okay, so we've solved again, so that's good news. So I'm going to go next. And now we see that we need to go up. I've come down too much, so clearly something went a little bit wrong there. Okay, let's see if we can get this done this time correctly, and everything will go okay. Normally it does not take this long, so apologies. I can normally do this in the space of a minute or a couple of minutes, but of course today is not going to be one of those days. Okay, so we're getting closer, and we're down to a degree now. Okay, let's see where we're at now. So I'm just moving up in azimuth, waiting for it to solve each time. Okay, so now I'm getting close, a little bit more. Again, I'm adjusting the azimuth. So now my azimuth is down to 37 arc minutes. I'm going to bring it up a bit more. Okay. And let's see it solve again. Okay, so now I'm 22. So now what I'm going to do is actually start shifting right to bring us right a little. So I've just moved right. Now I'm using the bolts on the azimuth control. Oh, and I got that pretty close. So now I am 11 arc minutes off on right. And that should wait for it to solve again. Okay, so now I'm really close on right. I'm down to 2 arc minutes, so I just got to get the up situation sorted out now. So let's try that. So now I've gone back to the azimuth bolts. Oh, I must have gone the wrong way. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, so now I'm going up. Now I'm getting close. Right, so now I'm eight arc minutes off in azimuth. It's just a little tweak there in azimuth. Sorry, in elevation. Okay, so now I'm 4 arc minutes off in elevation. So I'm going to give it another little tweak. Hopefully should get close now. Okay, so I still need to go up a little bit here. So maybe I didn't get quite engaged. All right, let's see if that does it. And again, I'm just using these elevation bolts at the moment to, oh, so now I went too far. So now I need to go 5 degrees down. And you're seeing me struggle a bit this evening. Normally I can do this much faster than this. But of course you try and do a live stream. Oh, right. Okay, so now we're getting close. So now I'm up. Now I need to, okay, I'm just going to move my azimuth bolt again. Right, just a tiny fraction. And see if I can get right to come in. Oh, went too far. Okay. All right, now I'm going back on the left azimuth. Okay, so now I just need to go a bit more left. Okay. So I've just moved the azimuth bolt again, a tiny bit left. Just wait for it to solve. Okay, so left now is almost perfect. So I need to get this thing to go up. Right, I just got to choose the right direction. See if that did it. So I'm back on the elevation bolt again. Apparently I went too far. Just proving tricky today to get this final. I usually like to try and get it to about a degree. There we go. Got it. Okay, so as you can see, we've now adjusted our AS and L bolts, and we've now got the polar alignment down to 38 arc minutes. And believe me, that is close enough. Right, so now I'm going to rotate this back to the top again. And we're basically right all there. Okay, so that's my polar alignment. So I'm going to turn this screen around so I can see it. So I'm now going back to my PC. And oh, you know, there's still one more thing I need to. So here's my mount. It's now nicely polar aligned, and I am hopefully, yep, everything appears to be all right there in terms of voice and everything. Right, so I've got my polar alignment done. So what am I going to do now? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Okay. And okay, so now I've gone back to my regular screen. So the other thing that we haven't done is, as you can see, we're kind of focused, right? And what I try and do, is I try and make sure that when I put my scope away at night, that I don't knock the focusing, so that when I basically get it out the next day and remount it, it might need a little bit of adjusting, but the basic coarse focusing is done. Now, if your coarse focusing is not done, you potentially have got a bit of a problem. One issue is that, I'm just going to move this. No, I'm not. One issue is that if your coarse focusing is off a lot, you're not going to see anything. So there's two ways of sorting that out. One is you've got to swing the scope onto a really bright target like the moon with your telrad and do the focusing there just roughly. The other thing to do would be to make sure that your rough focus is done during the day. Point the telescope out of one of your windows at a tree that's probably half a mile away and focus on that, and you'll be good to go. And good morning, Ross. Nice to see you. Ross is in the UK, so it's pretty early in the morning here. And yes, as you can see, Ross, I was struggling with the alignment, the polar alignment there. Usually it goes much faster than that. I'm actually using the telescope in a slightly different position in my back garden this evening. And there's a good chance that when I did that initial rotation of the RA axis, which was, well, I guess it depends which way you look at the scope, really. But in the first direction, I may have inadvertently got some sort of tree in the field of view as well, and it was screwing up the plates over. But when I went up in the opposite direction, things were much better. So I was able to do it pretty quickly. And going back to another question, Anna had said, I don't have a guide scope, just a finder scope. Yeah, it doesn't matter, Anna. I'm one of the few people that use a guide scope for both EAA. Most people do EAA without a guide scope. Now, I will say for photometry, you are going to need a guide scope because you are going to need to, well, I do anyway. I'm doing 60-second subs when I'm doing my photometry measurements, and without a guide scope it's not going to be good. So to do that sub length, I definitely need a guide scope for the photometry side. Okay, so we've done the polar alignment. It's almost going to be dawn soon, isn't it? We've done the polar alignment. Let us now quickly just check the focus. So I am going to get my, and I can never pronounce the name of this thing. Here we go. Well, there's two ways actually that you can do focusing in SharpCap. One of them is to use, well, actually, there's multiple ways of doing it, but one of them is to use half width, full. My brain's gone. One of them is to use FWHM, which is full width, half, or whatever. I can't remember. Help me, Dave. Help me. Ross, somebody help me, please. Tell me what FWHM stands for, because I should know this. And if Pat is online, Pat is cringing at this point. Pat is my instructor through the Boyce Foundation for exoplanet measurements, and we use these terms all the time. Anyway. So that's one way of doing it. The other way to do it is with a Batonov mask, and I'm going to do it quickly with a Batonov mask. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Focus Assistant Batonov mask, and I'm going to start that up. And I am going to then turn that screen round again, and I'm going to put the mask on the front of the scope, which involves taking the dew shield off, and I'm quickly going to check the focus. So I'm taking the dew shield off, as hopefully you might be able to see. Let me check. Yes, hopefully, well, it's pretty dark, but whatever. And I've put the mask now on the front of the camera, or the front of the telescope. I'm going to turn my monitor around so I can actually see what I'm doing here. So let me just do that a second. Need to get my mouse. Okay. And I'm going to need a star. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, actually, I can probably use that one. Right. Okay. So let's do a bit of zooming in. Yep. And yeah, there's my star. and that may not be bright enough here. So I may have to bring the scope onto another bright star. Let me just see if this is going to work or not. But basically, what we're looking to do here is, yes, there we go. Right, let's do a couple of adjustments. We're going to bring the gain up. We're going to bring the exposure down. And I'm going to need to bring the exposure right. Come on. No, it's weird. Since I got to high gain tonight, I'm getting noise on the sensor. It's kind of weird. There we go. And what we're looking for here is we're looking for the red line, there we go, that red line, to intersect with the blue and the green line. And if it does, we're in focus. But I really need to be on a better star than this. Okay, so I am going to shift onto, man, let me see if I can move on to Polaris here, and actually use that as the focusing star, which I normally wouldn't, but let me see if I can use my Telrad. Well, and one of the nice things about this particular mount, and one of the reasons I changed mounts, was because I can actually use the hand controller and have the computer connected at the same time. So what I'm going to do now is I've grabbed my hand controller, I'm going to use my Telrad, and I'm going to try and find, of course, Polaris is not really the best star, but I've got nothing else low and in the right place at the moment. So I guess we're going to have to see if I get lucky here. All right, let's see if I can use my Telrad. And see if I can get, oh, there we go, getting close. And if you've ever tried to move a scope onto Polaris, you will appreciate that this is actually quite difficult, because this is the axis that the entire mount is moving around, so of course it gets extremely complicated. So I'm still trying here. Oh, getting close. Oh man. Let's zoom out so that I can. Nothing is ever easy tonight. Oh, there we go. There it is. There it is. That's what I. Oh, that's what I need. I just need to get that star. Oh, actually, let me. I can now go onto the mount controls. Oh, rats. I can now go onto the mount controls. They're here. Let me see if I can. Actually, I think I can use that one over there. Let's have a look. Let's bring this. I've got to get this. I've got to get this going faster. Okay. Oh man, I swear. There are days when astronomy gets difficult, and today is one of them. This is just not going as smoothly as normal. So let me. But this is a classic example of what happens if you haven't got a star in a good position to, and you're not slightly in focus. It can be a real pain. People don't realize just how difficult it can be with a telescope if you're marginally out of focus. All of a sudden, what should be a simple task becomes very difficult. All right, you know, I'm not going to chase Polaris. I'm actually just going to take this star. Oops. Oh, it's just one of those days. Come on, Barry, wake up. All right, let's try again. Right, let's go up here. There we go. Yeah, right. So there you see my. Let me see if I can get this thing in the center a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Right. So there you see my focusing information that's coming through from SharpCap with this mask in place. And what you're looking for is you're looking for the red line to intersect with the blue and the green line. And as you can see, it's close, but not quite perfect at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to just change the focusing a little bit. Just tweaked it there, just a tad. And let's see now. Oh, I just need some more. This star is just, there we go. You know, I think let me just give this a tiny bit more exposure. And see if we can, there we go, get some. Okay, so we're just a tiny bit out. So I just need to tweak this focusing a little and move. All right. Now I've gone too far and the star has gone out of focus. So I'm now going to go back in that direction. Just come on. Come back. Damn. Lost the star. Oh man. All right. Okay. So that was too weak a star. So, oh, maybe it's still there. Hold on. Do I see it? Yes, there it is. Got it. Right. Got it. Okay. So what we see now is, and I am on too weak a star to be perfectly honest. But you can see now that when the red, the green, and the blue lines come up, the red line is sitting right between the blue and the green lines. And with a Bartov mask, that tells you that you're in focus. So our scope is focused. Again, if I'd been on a brighter star, this would be much easier because I could have reduced my exposure time, and you would have seen this happen a little bit quicker. But because unfortunately I've moved the scope into a position that I can literally see no other bright stars in the area that I'm looking in the sky. So anyway, we're there. So that's good. Right. Although that doesn't look particularly focused over there now. All right, let's just go around onto I think we're going to have to go around onto another star and just check things. So I am going to need to, let's bring our planetarium software up and let's go and pick a star. I think if I go over here, okay, so I'm now swinging towards Cassius Minor in the hope that I'm going to get somewhere close to Alpha Cassius Minor. I'm going to check the focus on that star. All right. So first of all, okay, so I'm pointing in about the right direction. So now I've got to get round to my towel rod. Oh, man. I could not have made this more difficult this evening. I have put this scope in an absolutely terrible location. It's in the right location for doing the photometry I want to do later on, and in the totally wrong location to do what I'm trying to do at the moment. Oh, dear. All right. Okay, just bear with me a second. I'm trying to let's go back into the live stack. Come out of the live stack. Let's okay. Okay. I just do not understand. Yep, clearly the beta blues are getting me today. Something has changed, and I can't. I'll tell you what I can do. Let's think about what we're doing here, Gary. Okay, we can do this a different way. Well, we could if my screen wasn't red, and I don't understand why my screen is all red at the moment. But let me try something else. I'm going to reset my camera profile. I'm going to reload my camera profile. See if that helps. You know, I think, okay, that's better. All right, so, okay. Okay, so something, oh, this has all gone wrong. Right, okay, so it looks like I have suffered some form of software crash here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my broadcast software. You have still got the camera overlaid. Okay, thank you, Ross. Let me deal with that straight away. Sorry about that, guys. Right. Okay, so let me transition. Right, camera's gone, but I've also lost SharpCap. So something has gone wrong here. So I am now going to go into SharpCap. That clearly is not going to work. So I'm going to go into my task manager now, which is on screen 1. And I'm going to close down SharpCap when I can find it. Okay, oh, there it is, right. Right, got it. Oh, stay still. Okay, I need to find my glass of wine that was around here because this evening is clearly, I can see SharpCap, but it's moving so, got it, right. I'm in the task manager that you can't see, and it was bouncing up and down on the CPU load, so I couldn't actually select it, but I'm actually now in the process of trying to close it down, which I'm hoping it's going to do in a couple of seconds. All right. All right. I'm basically going to reboot everything here. So, oh, I've lost everything. My second screen and everything is gone here. All right. So I'm still going on the live stream, I believe. So that's good. But nothing else is. What is going on? Okay, the live stream I believe is still working, so that's good. Sorry guys for this, but we are clearly having problems tonight, as you can see. All right, let's try the task manager again. So I'm going back into the task manager on my screen one. I am now going to just start closing everything down here that appears to be open. Because something is locking the PC up. The only thing I'm obviously not going to try and close down is okay, so that's responding now, is the broadcast software, because hopefully we can get this all up and running again. Yes, I do want to save those things. All right, so I've got that closed down. What else is up and running here? That I need up and running. Right, that I can close down. I can close down EQ mod. Yep, that's gone. Right, so we have now gone back to scratch again. I think the only thing I've got up and running now is OBS, and I've got a blank desktop. So, nope, not quite there yet. I'm still seeing EQ mod is running, so I need to kill that. Yep, there it is. Okay, got it. All right, killed EQ mod. Right, okay. So everything is stopped except for the broadcast, hopefully. All right, so I'm going to start SharpCap. And I guess now you'll see my startup sequence again, albeit that I didn't really intend to show you the startup sequence twice. So I'm going to move SharpCap onto the second screen so that you guys can see it. Let's just check you can see it. Yep, it looks okay. So I'm now going to go in my sequencer. I am going to start my thing. Is the hardware connected? Yes. 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 PC time, the mount is already on, albeit that I'm going to need to do something there in a minute. The COM ports will be okay. Okay, it's starting up correct to seal. So that's starting up on screen one. I will move that across to screen two. Let me just check that my observatory is set correctly, which it is. That's on screen one that you can see. So correct to seal is good. So I'm going to bring that down. I am now going to, so I've done the observatory check. I'm not going to do that. I am going to start at PhD2 guiding. So that has now started on screen one. So let me just grab that and bring it across to screen two. And I'm going to connect everything. Connect to all. And my, hello. My little 6-year-old Joy has just come out to say hi. And is there ice? And unfortunately, I haven't got a headset for her this evening, so she cannot say hi. But you're going to give me a kiss before you go to bed? Thanks, sweetie. I'm not going to bed yet. Oh, you're not going to bed yet. What are you doing then? I was going to look in the freezer. You're going to look in the freezer? Okay. My experiment's done. Okay, go off then. She's a bit of a scientist, is my little one. And as you can see, actually, as you probably can't see, actually, but let me just bring this across to the other screen so that you can see it. We have an issue right there because we have timed out on the EQ mod. So it's just turning out to be one of those days, guys. So let me. It was funny. I was having this conversation with Dave the other day, actually, and if Dave's still online now, he's probably chuckling because, you know, sometimes astronomy feels like whack-a-mole. And I'm sure many of you have played the game whack-a-mole. You know, you solve one problem and you create 15 others, and Unfortunately, I was away for a week. Well, actually, fortunately, I was away for a week in Death Valley, um, and did some astronomy. But of course, in transporting the system up and back, I've now run into a series of issues, as you are seeing this evening. So I am going to once again go through this process, and I am actually going to just start everything from scratch again, because something's got out of sync now, and it's obviously causing me problems. So I am going to switch my mount off. The only thing I've got going is the broadcast software. I am going to, so let's get this light on. Yeah, that's better. Right, so I'm actually bringing my mount into what should be the park position, which is there. And I've just got to move the declination clutch now as well. Oh, okay. So, declination. Okay, set that to 0. Lock the clutch off. Okay. I'm actually going to assume that the scope is focused, because its focus did look pretty good. So I'm going to put the dew shield back on before that becomes a problem. So the dew shield's back on. We are back in the park position. I am going to switch the mount actually off, and we are going to start again. Okay, right, the broadcast software is still going. It's about the only thing that continues to go. So let's keep our fingers crossed there. And for those of you that are hanging in, and we currently have 9. Okay, so Anna's saying every time she goes out to her telescope, she gets these sort of problems. I want to say it's nice to see somebody else struggle. Thank you for that, Anna. Yes, I am struggling, but I have my trusty glass of red wine here, so things may improve. Although, if this continues to go at the rate it's going at the moment, I may actually go inside and get a stiff scotch. And Dave actually did type whack-a-mole. Yes, Dave, this is turning into a giant. Okay, what shield did you put again? So dew shield. The corrector plate, or the front glass plate on a SCT, is right at the front of the telescope. If you don't put a dew shield on it, it will obviously dew up and get pretty horrible. Yes, so I've got a dew shield that goes on. So as you can tell, I'm just taking a couple of minutes now to compose myself. Take another glass of wine. Ah, whack-a-mole. Yay for wine. Okay, right. Roll everything up, and let's try to get this puppy going. I tell you, it'll be dawn by the time we finish, guys. And if there's still 9 of you on board at the time, I should be absolutely amazed. Hopefully your polar alignment is still good. Yes, my polar alignment is good, Dave. That is not going anywhere. That's hardware. So thank God we don't have to do that again. Right. Okay, so everything is closed down, and we are going to bring up SharpCap, which of course is going to start on screen 1, which you can't see. So I'm going to move it to screen 2. So that you can see it. Right, here comes SharpCap. And we're going to start the sequence. What? I started the wrong version of SharpCap. So this is the earlier version of SharpCap. This is the non-beta version that doesn't have the sequencer. So let me just close that down, because I need the sequencer. But yeah, so I've got 2 versions of SharpCap running on the PC. I have the beta version, which is SharpCap 3.3, and the fully released SharpCap 3.2, but that doesn't include the sequencer. So since I'm using the sequencer this evening, So I've got 3.3 up now, which is this one here. So I'm going to start the sequencer. So I'm going to start my EAA setup sequence. Is the hardware connected? Yes. Counterbalance weights. Yep. Wi-Fi. Good to go. PC time. Good. Switch on the mount. Okay, one more time. I will go across to the mount here and switch it on. Oh, I can only say it was a good job I connected these wireless headphones up this evening, because this would have been a disaster if I'd been on a cord. Okay, is the mount switched on? Yes. Okay, I better actually go and check the COM ports this time. So I'm now actually going to go into the device manager on screen one, so just bear with me a second. I'm going to check the COM port. It's currently on COM port 16. I'm also going to go into the EQ mod toolbox, and I am just going to go and check that the driver is set for COM port 16, which it is. So the two things should talk to each other. So I'm now going to go and step right. Yes and yes. CDC is now starting up on screen one. So as soon as that starts up, I will bring it to screen two. Okay, so screen two. And I need to just check my observatory, which is set for San Diego, so that's good. So we're all good there, so I can go back to here. Yes, I have checked my observatory. Comments don't need to do. It's starting at PhD, which is done on screen one, so I'll go and grab PhD. I will try and connect PhD to the equipment, which it has done. But we're going to have a problem again. The mount's not starting. Yep. Man. Okay, why is my mount not starting? All right. Let us... Oh, that's interesting as well. So there's something else that was incorrect here. My mount is not taking, even though I'd set my CDC, so cart to seal, my information was correct over there. I have not got the correct lat longs in EQ mod. This should be set to San Diego. Okay, so that's interesting. So I guess this is a good time to actually look at the sequencer. So if we okay, so that's good. Let me just bring that down here. And so interestingly enough, here you can see one of the issues with the sequencer, right? My UI is blocked, so I can't do anything up here until I stop this sequence. So let me just complete this sequence, which is the final part of it. It's just loading the camera profile. Which I believe is a yes, and now my now SharpCap is reporting the same error with the mount. So let me close that. So let me do one thing here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I am going to yeah. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I am going to go into the SharpCap settings, and I'm going to switch this off, my mount. Otherwise, it's going to keep giving me a mount error over and over again. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my sequencer. I am going to edit, and I'm going to bring the edit screen up onto screen 2 so that you can see it. Here we go. And I'm going to make sure I'm editing the right thing. So here we go. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm also going to go into miscellaneous. and I'm going to I am going to show you how to put a prompt in here, because clearly I need another prompt about this point here that says check the EQ mod lat long. So let me go down and grab a message, and I'm going to bring that message across to here. I think that would probably be a good point to insert the sequence. And I'm then going to put check EQ mod sequence, EQ mod lat long, correct. Because clearly if the mount software doesn't have the correct lat long, that's not going to be good. So I can test that. Check EQ mod lat long, correct. It would help, of course, if I could spell the word correct. So let me change that, and I will now save that update to the sequence. So you can see here, how easy it is to just build the sequence by pulling across these blocks. Like for instance, if I wanted to, for whatever reason, delay for X number of seconds, I could put that in there. And in fact, I do use delays in other parts of the sequence. So done that. Right, so now what we need to try and do is work out why this mount is not connecting. So let's close down SharpCap, and I am going to open up, I'm going to bring up the EQ mod toolbox, and I am going to bring that onto the screen so that you can see what I'm doing. And as you know now, we're in free flow because nothing is happening as it should this evening. And I am going to, first of all, I'm going to look at my driver, and everything's coming up on screen 1. So as it comes up on screen 1, I'm just going to pull across into screen 2. Okay, so I am on COM port 16. I've now set up for San Diego. Everything looks fine there. So that's good. So let me see if I can actually connect. This action cannot be complete because the component EQ mod is not responding. Choose switch to activate the component and correct the problem. Switch to. Okay, so there's clearly some things going on here. The driver setup is correct, but I cannot. Ah, man. All right. All right. Let me. All right. What I want to do here. Okay, first of all, I think I need to go okay there, right? And then I probably need to close that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my mount off again. And I am going to check all of the, I'm just going to check the hardware, and actually more importantly, the USB connections to make sure that everything is plugged in, because clearly if it's not, that's going to be a problem. And everything looks like it's okay. I've minimized the amount of cabling that I have, so I'm hoping, I'm just checking everything now. You can't probably see what's going on, but I am just checking everything, and it all looks as though it's okay. So now I'm going to go to the PC and just check everything at the PC end. And basically everything looks okay there, so we should be good to go. So I am going to try again to see if I can get this talking. So what do I need to do here? I need to probably go and open the toolbox again and see if that will, if I can start there. Okay, so the toolbox is open on screen 1, so there it is. And I've just clicked on the driver, which is now on screen 2. So that all looks like it's okay. Oh, right, okay, so what I'm going to need to... Oh, that's interesting. Huh, I didn't even realize it would do that because actually the mount switched off. Okay, so let's switch the mount back on. And let me see if I can bring up the EQ mod software rather than the toolbox itself. So I'm just going back into... Actually, I'm going to bring the toolbox up again. All right, and my toolbox is now on. That's on. Let's just try connect. That doesn't look very promising. Okay. Okay, so I'm ending up. I bet you I know what the problem might be. Okay, I think I've got multiple instances now of EQ mod running in the background here, and that is going to be a problem because I've seen an issue before with multiple instances not working, and as you can see, I am unable to close that one down at the moment. So back to the task manager. I was going to say, normally what I would do here if I wasn't broadcasting would be, since I've now got clearly an issue with some sort of, oh, there it is, got it. Right, I got it on my task manager, so I actually found that process, so I've killed that one. Okay, let's kill PhD again. Let's kill cart to ceiling again. And whack-a-mole continues here, people. But hopefully we'll be there shortly. So let me try again because I am determined to get this going if I can. And let me see if I can get the toolbox going again. Right, so EQ mod, toolbox, bring it to screen 2. Okay, check the driver setup. The driver setup is okay. You can't see it, it's on screen 1. I'm not going to drag it across. Let me do the ASCOM connect. Okay, did it connect? Nope. All right. Okay, let's check to see what's going on here. I'm set for San Diego. What is missing? Okay. Let me just try that device manager again and just see if anything's changed there. No, I'm still on COM port 16. So my device manager is saying that my it's found the prolific USB to serial connector. So it's physically seeing the mount because otherwise it wouldn't report that. But the mount now needs to connect to it, and for some reason, let me just try. What I'm actually doing on screen one here is just actually, I am just trying to give it a completely wrong COM port and then give it the right COM port, so that maybe I just sort of confuse it for a second. So I've just done that. So I'm back over here again. And oh, this doesn't look like it's something has gone wrong here, obviously. And I am now at a bit of a loss to know exactly what the problem is. Okay. And when you get this which I've had before, this connect error, and it's been a bit problematic at times. And I thought I'd solved the problem. I used to run with a USB 4-to-1 converter and that would cause me issues, or at least it appeared to. And I removed that, and everything appeared to start working okay. But clearly, that isn't the case, and it's something's manifesting itself now that I can't quite explain. Right. And I can also see as well that I'm getting this problem now where I'm potentially getting. Okay, so that's killed that, so that's good. Right, is there anything else I can do here? I think one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the mount off again. I'm going to pull the USB cable because maybe the problem exists there. Okay, so I don't know if you heard that, but I can hear that the USB is connected through the 2-to-1 port on the back of the 533 camera, so that's good. I've re-switched the mount back on. The mount is initializing, and the initialization has gone okay. So everything appears to be connected. So I'm just going to bring up SharpCap. I am going to bring that to screen 2. I am going to go into my SharpCap settings. I'm going to go to hardware. I'm going to select the hardware. Oh, this is interesting. Now I have never seen this before. I have two sets of hardware. One called ASCOM2 and one called, or EMOD2, and one called EMOD1. That is going to be an issue. Okay, so let's try one. So I've connected to that. I'm going to load, I'm going to do some manual stuff now. I think I'm just going to load my camera, which I did. Oh, look at that. There we go. There we go. So, how strange. So clearly it's got something to do with the fact that in SharpCap, well, it's not a SharpCap problem, but there are two instances of the EQ mod driver connection going on here, and there should only be a single instance. So that is clearly causing a problem, and it will cause a problem. Okay, so the good news is I'm actually connected to the mount. All right, so let me just park that for a second, and let me unpark it. All right. And we are good for San Diego, so that's good. We are going to have to check our focus, so I'm going to need to come onto some sort of star here at the moment. So, all right, so that's okay. So I'm going to just start things up manually here and just see if I can get things at least going. I don't think I've got a problem with the sequencer, but yeah, I don't think I got a problem with the sequencer, but I'm just going to bring things up manually rather than go through the sequence, because I have a feeling the one problem that may be in the sequencer is the fact that it may end up calling the wrong EQ mod thing, and so that might be causing the problem. At least we're connected back to the mount, so that's good news. Right, so let's see if we can find out if we've got anything like focus, and I'm guessing we haven't. No, that is clearly not focused. So we are going to have to go back into focusing again. So I am going to go into my toolbox, focus assistant, and actually, why don't I show you the other way of doing it? So this is with the FWHM measurement. So what I need to do is I need to take this box and I need to bound it around a star, like so, and it will start reporting the FWHM measurement for this star. So let me make sure my tracking, I don't think my tracking's working at the moment, so let me just make sure that, so I'm now tracking. Okay, so that's good. Right, so this star now should stay still. Right, so there's our star. Let me just check the broadcast is still showing all of this. Great, so there's my star. And just if you were wondering, this is a very frustrated operator at the moment. But we'll go back to that in a minute. Right, so I'm now going to go over. So now what I'm going to do is, with this method of focusing, rather than take my dew shield back off again, I basically need to minimize my full width half measure measurement. And so I'm going to turn the screen around. And I am going to go over to my focuser on the back of my SCT, and I'm going to adjust my focus. Okay, so you can see what happens when I go the wrong way. Oh no, I've gone the right way. We go from where we were to something that's a lot better, and to make it easier for us, it shows it going green. So I'm just basically moving the focus anti-clockwise, and I'm guessing I'm actually pretty close now, but I'm just going to go past the focus point. Oh, you know what I am going to do? I'm going to speed this whole process up a little bit. So let's, I've got too long an exposure going here. This is the first time as well that I've had these screens reversed, because normally I have the content on screen 1 on screen 2 and screen 2 on screen 1, and that's causing a certain amount of confusion as well. Right, so let's just bring this to about a second. Let's bring this up to, let's bring this down. There we go. All right, so now we're getting some real quick updates. Would help if I didn't kick them out as well. Right, so I'm now just gonna work out where right. So now I think you can see. There we go. Now I've gone through focus, and now I'm on the opposite side of focus. So now so that was basically going anti-clockwise. So now I'm going to come back clockwise, I'm going to go through focus again, which you can see is happening now, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to go unfocused on the other side. Right, so I'm now unfocused on the clockwise side of it. So now I'm going to go anti-clockwise again, and I always focus this SCT, finish the focusing going in an anti-clockwise direction, because that is the direction that the focuser is stiff, and when I do that, it locks the focus tightly down. Why has that stopped on me? For God's sake. Oh my word, I don't believe what's happening tonight. Why did you stop on me? Okay, let's try that again. What is going on tonight? Okay. The reason I'm hesitating here is because this histogram should be moving to the left-hand side, and as you can see, it's stopped, which tells me that we are not, and you can see it here actually, we're not taking frames anymore. It's like, it's just, everything is just not working tonight. All right. All right. Oh, dear God. All right, so I've had to close SharpCap down again, and I will start it again. This is definitely proving to be an evening of whack-a-mole. And I must say, when you first start astronomy, there are many evenings that go like this. The weird thing about tonight is that I don't think I've had an evening this bad in a long while. So it is just a tad frustrating as I have to keep going backwards and forwards between a screen that's turned around and where we're at. So let me go over here again and see if we can just do this one more time and say a little prayer that this thing might actually start up. All right, so let's load the camera. Okay, well the good news is it's actually taking frames. Let's load the profile. Okay, so we've now loaded our camera profile. I'm going to change this. Oh, the star's still there. That's good news. Okay. Okay, we're taking frames and everything's previewing. Okay, you can see the frames rolling through here, so that's good. So now I can go back up into Tools, Focus Assistant, FWH. All right, there's my star. And there's my histogram. Right, so we were just in the process of going anti-clockwise to try and get this star. What's the error message coming up here? Okay, all right. So I'm going to go through the focus point again, because I've got to get a feel for where the minimum focus is. Right, so I've gone through the focus point. Right, there it goes. So it's definitely gone out of focus now. You can see the donut shape on the screen. So now I'm going to come back from the focus point. I'm coming back now clockwise. I'm going to go through, and I just need to get this square a little better position, like over the center of my target. There we go. So I'm going to come back through the focus point. Okay, so now I'm unfocused on the other side. So now I'm unfocused on the clockwise side. So now I'm going to go anti-clockwise once again. And I'm going to bring this into focus. And you can see with me just even putting a little bit of light pressure on the focuser that it's just causing the star, the pointing to. So I'm just going anti-clockwise very, very slowly. I'm just trying to get a feel for, there we go. There we go. That looks like it. Yeah, I would say we're pretty much in focus now. That looks pretty good to me. We've got those nice green bars. Everything looks good. All right, so I think we're gonna say that's where we're focused. All right, so I'm gonna swing my screen around again. I am going to sit down at my laptop once again, and I am gonna hope that all of this hangs together for a little while. Right, so let me. All right, so we've got the thing in focus. So rather than using the mask that time, so what we actually used there was one of the error focusing techniques, which is a very helpful technique called FWHM focusing, and we've got this thing nicely focused. Right, so our scope is focused, so that's good. Right, so I can switch that off. Okay. Perfecto. Right, so let's actually see if we can get this thing to, let's just bring up our other packages and hope, which I'm going to do manually. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to do this on screen 1 and then just pull them across onto screen 2. So I'm going to start up cart to seal manually. Which is just starting now. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to connect this. I'm going to check that observatory is still set correctly, which it is. And I'm going to connect my scope. Sorry, everything keeps launching on screen 1. So I just have to pull it. So I'm going to connect my scope. Okay, so my scope is connected, but the tracking is not working yet. So I am going to go to EQ mod. I am going to select sidereal tracking. So that went green on the other screen. So now we are tracking okay. So that's good. So we're all set up on CDC. So I'm going to minimize that. And I'm now going to go back to my other screen and I'm going to start my guiding software. And I'm going to connect and I'm going to pull that across on the screen 2 so that you can see it. I'm going to connect my guiding software. And hopefully, if I hit loop, it will start to at least show me exposures. Okay, so we can see the stars here, so that's good news. So I'm going to minimize that. So we basically now started everything up manually this time rather than going through the sequence. But that wasn't the thing that was causing the problem. The problem was that, or is still, the weird 2 instances of the EQ mod software and its selection. That's what was causing the problem. Hold on, I just realized something. I've been chatting away saying that things are moving on the screen too, and you've been looking at my ugly mug in the picture. So sorry about that, guys, but believe me, I started all that software up correctly. And you are now looking at screen 2. So now I'm going to go back to screen 2. I'm going to start the next sequence up, which is called, and I'm actually going to start an imaging sequence up. So I am going to image I'm going to start my image sequence up. And this is the second of my sequences that basically gets me ready for imaging. So have I saved the previously saved image? Yes. Move the mount to a target. So, okay, so great. So I need to go into CDC and I need to pick a target. Let's just pick a bright star. Actually, let's just go and pick Alpha Ursa Major, so one of the big stars in the Big Dipper. And let's go find that star. So I'm going to go up to here. I am going to command my scope to slew. And it does. I can hear it slewing, and I'm just watching it slew now towards the Big Dipper. Okay, so it should be on the Big Dipper. So that's good. So I'll close that back down again. So I can press OK. And now a couple of things are going to happen now. My sequencer is written now so that basically it forces me to wait 30 seconds for the mount to stabilize. So it just forces me to wait. And what it's doing now is it's set its exposure to 10 seconds and its gain to 550, and it's going to plate solve. And this is all being driven by the sequencer. So it's plate solved, and it's found out that my target is 2.5 degrees off. So it's now moving the mount 2.5 degrees. And again, there is another command, which unfortunately is coming up on screen 1, that's forcing me to wait for a set period of time. And that set period of time has now completed. Oh, that looks promising. Let's just close this down a minute for a reason that right. And so here is my, what are we on? We're on 30-second imaging at the moment. So I can actually, so here is my target, which is now showing up in my field of view. And hopefully the next time this 30-second sub completes, which is down here, you'll see it just about complete in a couple of seconds. There you go. Now we have Alpha Ursa Major showing up. Now, it should be here. It's not. But the fact that it's even in the field of view at the moment with what's happened so far this evening is a miracle. So let's just let's just say we're good to go at the moment. The sequencer now is going to start the PhD guiding software, and it's going to, which it didn't do. Okay. And it's now going to tell me, here's one of the notification notices coming up here. So as you can see, one of the things that hasn't happened is that our star is not in the center of the field of view. And normally the plate solver will get it right there. So let me just try and plate solve again manually and just see what happens. Okay, so interesting. So it's plate solved again, and it's telling me there's no error, which quite clearly we can see there is. I don't even need to draw the crosshairs, but as you can see, there's an error. I'm close, but I'm not 100% there. And normally that occurs for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I've seen this occur when the system clock is incorrect. So I'm just going to check my system clock on my PC against my time on my phone, and it's exactly the same, so that's not the problem. So the next thing it could be is it could be associated with a lat long position could be incorrect somewhere. So the question is that problem. So let me just quickly go into SharpCap here and just make sure. I'm pretty sure there isn't a lat long setting anywhere in SharpCap. Okay, so there isn't. Right, so let's go to CDC and let me check my lat long position in CDC. And I can tell you, unfortunately it's come up on screen one, but let me bring it across. We're set for San Diego there, and that looks about right. Oh, but no, the time zone's set correctly. Although that is not correct. So let me change, there we go. Let me change that. Aha! You see CDC moved a little bit there? So clearly there was an incorrect setting in cart to seal. So now let me try the plate solve again. So it's going to grab and it's, okay, alrighty. Okay, so let's go into EQ mod and let me grab the EQ mod thing. Let me bring that across here. Okay, we're set for San Diego. And okay. All right, I'm going to move my mount back to its home position. Okay. I am going to park it. I am going to unpark it. I am going to close that down for a second. I'm going to close SharpCap down for a second. I am definitely going to close cart to seal down, which I am going to do here. And now I am going to okay, so SharpCap's still up and running, so that's good. So now I'm going to start cart to seal again, because clearly one of the parameters in cart to seal was probably set incorrectly, and let's see if that solves the problem. Okay, so cart to seal observatory is correct. That came up on screen one. I just checked that, and now I've got my time zone set correctly. So all of that is good. Right. So let me connect my telescope again. And let's connect. And let's set the tracking correctly. Okay, you didn't see that because it was on screen one, but here we go. We're all connected. We've got park and tracking going. We've got everything green here, so that's good. So let's come out of here. We are in hopefully the right place. And so let's go after alpha user major again. And we'll slew to the target. So my mount is now moving again, and you can see my mount moving. It's going across here. So now I've got there. So let's go to plate solve that. First of all, I think what I'll do is I'll just bring that down to about 10 seconds. Yeah, and I've got plate solving it again. Let's see if it finds an error this time. Well, not much. Okay. All right. Well, there's still something slightly askew here, and I'm not sure what it is, but there's clearly something still slightly askew, even though we're seeing our target. It should be smack in the middle of the screen, which it clearly is not. Now, the good news is, of course, is that since I've got control of my mount here, I can reduce this exposure down so that things change in real time, and I can just manually move my target using my mount control buttons here. But unfortunately, while that's fine for this particular target, if you were going to image it, in the general scheme of things, if that had been another 0.1 of a degree away, it would have been outside of my field of view, and I would not have, it would have been difficult to find. So, although there is actually a search function, a spiral search function that you can use here. But interestingly enough, so now if I go and plate solve, let me just try that. I suspect what will happen is it will now move it back again, move it away from where I would like it to be. But let me do that. And let's just see what happens here. So when this green goes green up here, oh, it's actually, let me cancel that. Let me do that again. Right, when it goes green up here, there we go. Oh, actually, oh, so now, well, that's weird. Okay, all right. Well, now it thinks that this is in the right position. So let's go to cart to seal again. Pick another target. Let me find my mouse. I want to go down here. So let us pick, um, let's go over to, let's see, nice bright star. Let's pick, this one. Okay. So we're now over, let's maybe not pick that one. Let's pick, yeah, let's pick this one up here. Okay, and we'll slew to that target. So my mount's now moving. I don't think I can, I'm not sure if I can show you. No. Yeah, that webcam is not my favorite webcam. It keeps closing down. So I've now moved onto that second target. So let's have a look. Okay, as you can see, it's not there. So let's plate solve. It's found out where it is. It thinks it knows where the error is. And that is not working. Oh dear. Yeah, so my plate solver's not working as well tonight at the moment. So it looks like, and I know what the problem is here. I just don't know where to look for the issue. And the problem is that because I went to Nevada and I got everything set up for Nevada, I've come back to San Diego and something has got out of sync. A lat long or something is wrong in one of the packages, and it's confused. Something's getting confused, and so the plate solver is not working properly. And to be perfectly honest, the way my system is set up, because it's got such a narrow field of view, if the plate solver is not working, it is it's not good because I've just got too narrow a field of view to go manually searching for targets. So that the plate solver is critical to the way I tend to do things here. Right, so that's interesting. So let's have one more quick look and see if we can figure out what has gone wrong. So if I set that, I don't have a GPS. This is, I wonder what else could potentially, yeah, okay, so everything appears to be okay there. Everything appeared to be okay in CDC, so let's have a look over here. Okay, so now where I've gone in CDC is I'm now looking, so basically I'm telling it to use the system time, and the system time so that should be okay. So let's just reapply that. Oh, something shifted again. Aha. This is interesting. All right, so let's close this down one more time. Let's save the parameters because clearly things are not 100% right here. I shouldn't have closed that down. So let me get my bearings again. Okay, let's start up CDC. And so I think you're kind of, what we're kind of illustrating here is just how well all of this software is really great and hunky-dory. Unfortunately, it's not foolproof. And so, and because I move around a lot when I'm imaging, I'm often changing things and things have got out of sync. So there are things here in the sequencer commands that I'm probably going to change. Not that the sequencer is, all the sequencer is doing is just saying, check this, check that, check something else. But I need to go through that process and I'm clearly not checking everything that I should be checking, if that kind of makes sense. So I've selected an image, or I've selected a target. Oh, I haven't connected my telescope. Let's connect my scope. Nothing's going to work if the scope's not connected. So I've done that. You didn't see that. It was on screen one. Okay, so my telescope is slowing again towards Alpha Ursa Major. And it's now there. I am going to, okay, so that's good news. At least we can see that it's got close to the target because the target's popped up in the window. Let's bring the exposure down because, well, actually I don't need to bring it. Let's just leave the exposure where it is and let's just plate solve and see what happens. Now hopefully this time when it plate solves, it's going to move back. It's going to move that star into the center. Plate solves failed. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit more gain. It needs a little bit more gain to get the plate solve to work. So I'm just going to bang that up to 550. And I'm going to plate solve again. All right. Yeah. Oh, it's done it again. All right. Okay, so clearly this is something that's askew in my system here that's going to take me longer to sort out than I think you guys probably want to wait around. Another potential problem is that it could be that one of my oh, here we go. Let's see. We've got a couple of comments here. I'm sorry, I've only just gone back to the chat window. One of the problems could be that one of the packages is working in JT, is working in J now and not J 2000. And if that happens, that's going to cause a problem like this. So let's just have a look where we're at. Hopefully your polar alignment is good. Yes. So with the yes, so yes, Anna, the FHWM would be an alternative to using a mask for focusing. Ooh, a Bower, yes. I set the focus on first star alignment, which will always be on the bright one. Yeah, Ross, you can do that, except for I don't do any star alignment. I only do a polar alignment, and then I basically rely on plate solving to solve all of the positioning issues for me. So I never go through that process of actually doing a 1 or 2 or 3 star alignment. And obviously you're seeing the penalty for that this evening, in so much as if your plate solver starts to muck, it isn't quite right, you've got a problem. Astro camera, the problem is the plate solver permitted error is a configuration of accuracy. Pick the same start and sync, center and the star, then select and sync with the 7 button. Okay, so I am not too sure what you're alluding to, but let me just read through that again. The problem is the plate solve permitted error, okay, is a configuration of the plate solve accuracy, okay. Pick the same start and sync. Center a known start and then select the starting carousel and then sync with the second button. Okay, let's see what happens here. All right. Right, so let me, well, we obviously have got a known star because we're looking at it right now. So let me move it into the center. I'm going to need to just change things here. Bring that down to half a second so I can actually see it move. There it goes. All right, I'm going to center the red star. Yep, going in that direction now. This is the other kind of cool thing about live streaming, is the fact that, you know, there are often people on the live stream who actually know a lot more than you do. And so they can help with some of these issues when they occur. So here I go, centering my red star. All right. There we go. Nicely centered. Okay, done that. Right, center the red star. Then go to cart to seal. Already. I can do that. Okay, I've gone to, whoops, got cart to seal up on screen 1, so let me move it across to screen 2. Okay, I've gone to cart to seal. Right, then go to cart to seal. Oh, okay, Chile, fantastic. Yes, where are you in Chile? I spent quite some time in Santiago, so lovely country. I was down there for 3 months. It was good fun. Right, so I've now gone to cart to seal. What do I do now? Because clearly the next step is the important one here. Okay, select the star. Okay, selected it. Okay. And with the left button, select the star with the left button. Yeah, I've done that. Then second button. Okay. Okay. And second button. Do I lock on? No. Do I lock on alpha? You see a major here? Is that the next step? So I know there's about a 10-second delay on the chat window here. So I will have a sip of wine and wait for you to come back to me with an answer. Okay. Telescope. Okay, telescope. Yep. Okay. Got that. Okay, telescope. Sync. Okay. I think that's what you said. So I'm going to sync. Confirm that the telescope. Yes. Okay, great. All right. Done that. Right. Cool. Now, I presume if I go over to and hit the plate solve, let's see if this works. All right. So let's bring that up. Okay. And let's plate solve. All right. And then we'll try a different target and see if, okay, so that first plate solve is going to fail, but the second one will work. Okay, so let's just plate solve again. Oh, no, it's going to shift it. Oh, it's going to move it away. Yep, there it goes again. Okay, so let's go back into character seal. Yep, you can see the problem here, right? Where I'm actually pointing and where the star is are two different things. So I go back to here, I left click down there, I go to telescope and I sync. Okay, so let's say we do it there and go back into SharpCap and we do plate solve now. Kind of the reverse approach. God damn, it's done it again. Okay, yeah. Okay, so as you can see, guys, I've got this weird problem, which is definitely solvable. I'm just not sure quite how to solve it yet. And that was a really good attempt there, Astro Camera. And I think your name may be Jacka. So fantastic. Appreciate that attempt. Let me just try it one more time and see if. Okay, so we are now clearly the telescope and the, but I've got to move this into the center again, right? Because, okay, so let me just try to move this one more time then and see if we get lucky. I can see where you're going with this. Kind of makes sense what you're saying. It's just not quite working. But I've learned something else, and that is I didn't even realize that was actually possible on character seal, so that's kind of nice to know. Some of these packages are kind of complex. Whoops, kind of complex, and so consequently, yes, maybe there is another sync. You're absolutely right. There is something weird going on here, right? So I'm about the center. Clearly now where I'm pointing and the star are two different things, because here's the star. Actually, where's this? Yeah, there's the star right there. And here's where I'm pointing, right here. So I should be able to go there. Telescope. Okay, so slew cursor position. Sync. Well, sync would seem the obvious one, wouldn't it? Please confirm the telescope. Yep. There we go. So it's definitely synced the position. Interesting. So I wonder if all right, let's try something else then. So if I go over here to the beta star and I slew to the beta star, there we go. And okay, there it is. So that's good. Now if I go back into cart to seal and slew back to the alpha star, okay, there it goes. All right, that's kind of okay. And this is just the scope settling. This is why I wait for 30 seconds for the scope to settle. This scope takes a long while to settle compared to my previous scope. So let me okay, let me, I'm probably going to have to increase the gain. It's probably not, no, it's not going to solve. So the plate solver does require a sufficient number of stars, and if you haven't got the gain set high enough, that doesn't happen. So let me just let it. Okay. Oh. Yeah, it's going to do exactly the same thing again. Interesting. Okay. All right. So clearly, I've got the same systematic error here, that there is a offset between the plate solver and the scope. And you know, the way I've corrected this in the past is I am going to probably have to reset everything, switch everything off, and go through this whole process again and see if I can figure out what the issue is. So that's one way of doing it. I wonder if there's a sync somewhere else though. There's clearly something is not quite 100% here. And okay, let's see. Let me have a look and see if that's right. I'm sorry, that works for me. Maybe another type of sync. Yes, okay. Totally agree. Do you have a ROI image? No, this is a full, this is my full field of view. I presume by ROI you mean region of interest, but no, I've not got region of interest set. This is my full field of view. But if you've got some more thoughts around that, throw them in. Yeah, I wonder what else is going on here. Let me check one more thing in the setup here. So let's just go into general. That probably. Okay, so I'm on, so things are coming up on screen one that you can't just see, and rather than pull them across, I'm just going to quickly step through them to see if I can see something. Okay, so everything there looks okay. So let me date time looks good. Okay. Let's, let's, okay. All right. I'm just going to check the coordinates. I'm just wondering here if there is something that maybe I'm not running on JT 2000 because I need to be. If I am running on JT now, I've got an issue. because let me. Okay, I'm just going into a quick start guide to see if I can solve a problem this way. You know, I hate for you guys to be struggling, watching me struggle now, because I am struggling a little bit. This might actually be a good place to, my God, we've been going for nearly 3 hours here. For those of you that have hung in here, fantastic job, because this is painful, to say the least. I think I'm going to have to struggle here and figure out what is going on. Um, and clearly there is something going on, and I've kind of seen this once before, and it solved itself after a little while, and I wasn't 100% sure why, which I'm beginning to regret, because obviously if I was 100% sure why, I could probably apply the same theory and it would all work. Um, But as you can see, it's kind of interesting. These packages have got themselves a little bit out of sync, which is causing my plate solver to be a little bit out of sync, and we'll go from there. So anyway, I think at this point, I think we'll call it a day. I probably won't call it a day. I will continue to try and sort this problem out and get the imaging going again for tomorrow evening. I guess in a kind of long-winded fashion, we did actually see the polar alignment thing work, albeit that wasn't particularly smooth. We did see the focusing aspect using both a mask and also the FWHM measurements. Um, we looked at the sequencer, which was helpful, but unfortunately nothing's been particularly working smoothly. And as you can see now, I've got this issue. So I think it's probably a good place to stop. I'll let you guys go and get a cup of coffee or do whatever. And I certainly appreciate you hanging in, as I said before, because this was a bit painful. And I think at this point I will think about signing off and go from there. And of course, being as I've changed so many things here, even my YouTube screen is not up and running, so I can't even immediately hit the cancel button, but I'll get there in a second. And I will, but I'm obviously going to say my goodbyes first, but I was just like everything else this evening, nothing is quite working. Right, so I should be able to, yes, so okay, so I'm now in the position to end the stream when I need to. I use ASTP. Yes, I mean, I think, when ASTAP is working, it's a fantastic tool. And I don't think it's a problem with the tool this evening, actually. I think it's a problem with one of the packages that's talking to the tool. It's just a matter of finding out which package and why. Okay, cool. So, like I said, I think this is probably a good place to finish. I'm probably going to go inside and scream for a few minutes and then come out again and see if I can sort this problem out. And I'll probably go and get a extremely large glass of wine to help me through the rest of the evening because I'm probably going to need it and go from there. So before I log off, let me thank everybody that joined. A couple of quick shout outs. We did have a couple of people on. I'm not sure if Pat was on, but certainly Anna was. Pat is from the Boyce Foundation. He is doing a great course on exoplanet transits at the moment that a number of us, including myself and Anna, are taking part in so that we can do exoplanet transit measurements, one aspect of photometry. So a shout out to him. Ross in the UK is the president of the Bolton Astronomical Society, so greatly appreciate Ross being on board, and Dave Decker was on board. I'm not sure if Dave is still there. He's probably having a good old chuckle about this because this is probably the most problematic live stream that I have had. So Dave is the Public Outreach Director for the San Diego Astronomy Association, and I work closely with Dave in my outreach activities. So you can find us at sdaa.org. Just search for SDAA or the San Diego Astronomy Association. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. I also have my own YouTube channel as well. Please subscribe to one or both to hear of upcoming EAA broadcasts, and you'll also see a number of broadcasts already up there where you can actually see some real work getting done. And with that, I will say good evening. Thanks very much for sticking with me tonight. It's been an experience. And have a great evening. And I'll probably be online again tomorrow, I'm guessing, because I was hoping today I was going to show everybody what they needed, and clearly that didn't happen. So I may well be on fire up the stream again tomorrow. So if you're interested, please join me again. I'd actually probably like to do one of these on Zoom so that we could actually chat in real time. It would be kind of fun. Oh, and Dave was still online. No, I'm not going to live this down, am I? Oh, this is going to be so painful. Okay, so Dave's going to really be ribbing me for the rest of the week now. Great. Okay, well, tremendous, guys. Really enjoyed it. Hope to catch you on another live stream, and I'll say good evening. Good night.